I think a lot of people wonder if book publishing is very expensive, but the truth is it's literally as expensive as you want it to be. My name's Lindsay Elizabeth, and I am an independent, self-published author, and I published my debut novel, we'll call it my debut novel, for under $100. The reason I use the air quotes and say it might as well be my debut is because I actually wrote more books in high school. I wrote and published 3 books and 2 very, very short novellas. I don't know what you call them. Maybe a novelette. But I did publish back in high school, and then I unpublished them when I went to college and knew that I wanted to enhance my writing style. Those novels back in high school are actually a huge reason that I am able to publish for such a cheap amount. I know that $100 is like nothing to balk about, but when it comes to publishing, sometimes people spend thousands of dollars. And I know that under 100 is kind of a rare feat. So let's get into how I did this for not even a Benjamin. I was always a very entrepreneurial, business, selling mindset kid, but I never wanted to go into sales. I wanted to go into marketing, because marketing is where you have fun. First, I want to talk about the skills that I had to acquire and hone in order to do a lot of the things that I did. And then I will talk about the programs that I used. And if you just want to know about the programs that I used and the straight up costs for that, I will have timestamps down below. When you look at the typical costs of what goes into publishing a book and making it ready for market is a lot of editing and graphic design elements. So in editing, there is developmental editing, which basically talks about the story as a whole. It's, does this scene fit here? Should this happen? It's really looking at the story as a whole and asking, does this make sense? And from like a scene to scene perspective. And then there's also line editing, which is basically looking at the story line by line and saying, is everything continuous? Do the sentences make sense the way that they are structured, the way that they are formatted? And then there is proofreading, which is the grammar, the punctuation, the spelling, the very nitty-gritty details that everyone hated in 7th grade. And then when you look at the graphic design perspective, there is cover design if you are doing any sort of chapter, header, formatting, stuff like that. And then the bulk of the book formatting. So whether it's print or ebook, how does that show up? Those are the kind of English and graphic design things. And the way that I ended up kind of coming into both of them would be going back into kind of my lore, so to speak, as an indie author. So I have been reading my entire life. Some of my fondest childhood memories were my mom reading to me and my sister in bed. She would read us like Nancy Drew and going back farther, the like Amelia Bedelia books. And there were just like a lot of fun stories that I just cherished that time of reading and learning to read, and eventually went on to read all the time. And at some point, I would say around the age of 8 to 10, it was kind of like 3rd to 5th grade, I actually ended up kind of getting into writing instead of just reading, because we had to do a little class project where we had to come up with a character and we had to write a little story and draw the pictures. And then our teacher got them printed on these little like hardcover books. And it was super cute. It was fun. And that's actually one of these up here. This is a Young Authors Award. I think it was basically a participation trophy, let's be real. It's awarded a certificate of excellence at the Young Authors Conference for the county that I grew up in, which is somewhere in Wisconsin. I'm not going to dox myself. But the other thing behind me is actually my college degree, and we'll get there in a second. So when I got this Young Authors Award, whatever it was, it fueled me. I was so excited that somebody saw like this potential for me writing stories. And I kept writing probably from the age of 8. I think about 10 years old was when I started really trying to grasp chapter books and tried writing my own. I vividly remember writing the cringiest thing that was like my best friend's boyfriend, and I thought it was so original. And it would literally just be a trope nowadays. But that was one of the first stories I remember thinking of, because it felt like something that would happen, and it was like very contemporary. But I was so young, and I hadn't really learned about the dating world or the writing world, and it was so basic. It was so basic, let's be real. Fast forward a little bit, and in 7th grade, my best friend, I would still consider her one of my best friends, but she came up to me on the school bus. This is like a core memory for me. Came up to me on the school bus and said, I have an idea. How about we both take a writing prompt? We write our own little short story and we see the different ways that we took it. I was like, that sounds like so much fun. Yes, please. So her prompt was a girl wakes up in a cave with no memory. And here's what I did. I wrote a book. I wrote a freaking book when I was in 7th grade. I mean, it's not huge. I think it ended up being just under 50,000 words, which is the criteria for being a full-length novel. So when I ended up writing this book, I actually found out about this website called CreateSpace. And CreateSpace had this contest where you could enter in your novel, and they would end up essentially indie publishing it for you. They would get you a cover designer, editing, and they would publish this book for you. When I did not win that contest, although I did make it quite far, throw that out there. When I did not win this contest, I ended up realizing that CreateSpace, which is now Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP, was a format for you to publish your own novels and get them printed and sell them. So I realized when I lost that I could just do it myself. And then I literally never looked at getting traditionally published. I maybe in my career have sent 2 or 3 query letters. But when it came to me thinking, I can self-publish and I can hold my book in my hands, I can hold this thing in my hands, that was like the most exciting thing to me. So I immediately learned Photoshop so that I could make my own cover. I made my own cover. I formatted the thing. I made my own chapter headers. They're all silhouettes, which is, I think, kind of cute, actually. Thus started my graphic design journey. She started young. I think, to give it a little context, I did not start graphic design when I was in 7th grade, when I was 12. I started it when I was 14, and I was a freshman in high school. Because we had a graphic design, like, Photoshop basics class. And boy, did I learn. I watched every YouTube tutorial I could. I took extensive notes in class. And I literally just fell in love with Photoshop and with graphic design. So we've got graphic design. We've got a little bit of writing experience, but it didn't really ramp up until I was in high school and I could drive myself. And I drove myself straight to Minneapolis, the Loft Literary Center, where they taught writing classes. Outside of school, you pay for classes and you go. So that was my thing. That was my jam. I walked dogs. I wrote books. And I went to the Loft Literary Center in downtown Minneapolis. I don't know if they still teach writing classes, but if they do, I highly recommend them. Thus started my love for actual storytelling craft. I started learning more about English than I did in my high school writing classes. I started learning more about creative storytelling more than I ever would in my high school writing classes. And then when I ended up going to college, I went and I got a marketing degree because it felt like a little bit of a step up from just getting a graphic design degree. Therefore, there would be more job opportunity more than just having a graphic design degree. So I got a marketing major, that thing. It's actually a bachelor's of science. I don't know how marketing is a science. There you have it. Bachelor of Science in Marketing, 4-year degree, finished in 3.5, with a minor in graphic design and an accidental minor in creative writing. Accidental, you may ask? How the fuck do you accidentally get another minor? The thing is that my college did not have a creative writing minor until I was about halfway through taking English classes for fun, for gen eds, for whatever extra kind of credits I could. And then my English teacher was like, hey, we're adding on this minor. Do you want one? You only have to take like 3 more classes. And I was like, count me in. Say less. So then I ended up with 2 minors and a degree in marketing and finished in 3.5 years. And now I'm going to tell you the actual expenses of the programs that I use to publish my books. After hearing all of that, it may not come as a surprise to you that I pay for the entire Adobe suite. The Adobe that feels a little treacherous to us right now. But nonetheless, I pay for the entire Adobe suite. So I'm counting that as like 1 month. $50-ish, whatever it is, 50 and some change. I don't know what it is. It's about $50 And the main things that I use from that are InDesign in order to format the interior of my books, which I will show you right now. And then Photoshop, because your girl loves Photoshop. That helps me with my cover design. But I don't just do these covers in Photoshop. I pull a lot of different elements from different stock resources, put them in Photoshop, and digitally paint over them so that it's a very like cohesive arty art look that I want. So those different costs are Envato Elements, which I will link down below. I believe I have like an affiliate link, so if you click it, I will get a small kickback, but at no cost to you. And I think you get a free month. Envato Elements is basically this website, and they're not sponsoring this thing, but like I said, I think I have an affiliate link, so might as well. But legitimately, this is one of the best graphic design resources that I know of. It literally has commercial rights usage for everything. You can download the commercial rights usage license, which is amazing. Photos, videos, fonts, graphics, illustrations, literally everything a graphic designer could want. I'm not even kidding. Music. They have, let me look. Literally looking at the banner of their website, they have stock video templates. So like if I wanted to create a YouTube intro using their template, I could. Music, sound effects, graphic templates, graphics, presentation templates. If you're a graphic designer and you are designing decks, let's be real, PowerPoints, they got that. Photos, fonts, different add-ons, Procreate brushes. They have Procreate brushes, Photoshop brushes. It's amazing. And more. They have a tab that just says more. Anyways, Envato Elements linked below, bar none amazing. I gotta switch batteries. So aside from compiling stock photos into kind of a composition that I like, using the Envato elements, I did mention digital painting, and for that I use Procreate. So here's just a little speed through, I don't know, what do you call it? Speed. So here's just like a quick little speed run of me using Procreate to digitally paint over a cover that is composed of various stock photo elements. And Procreate is amazing because it is a one-time purchase. Like I said, not sponsored. I'm not sponsored by anybody yet. So all of this is just straight from the horse's mouth. Anyways, Procreate, amazing. iPad only as far as I know, and it's a one-time purchase of like $10. What could go wrong? So far, we're at $50 for the Adobe Suite, $10 for Procreate, and $15 a month if I'm using like 1 month as a reference, because I could create an interior and a cover within a month. So that's why I'm only counting it once, because your girl works fast when money matters. What else did I spend money on? You might be wondering, because that's only $75. And I did say that I published for under $100, but I did spend a little bit more money on a beta reader. This was before I found out about some free ways to find beta readers and critique partners. So if you are in the same boat and you're looking for somebody to give you feedback on your new novel, maybe check out this video on where to find some other beta readers, because I ended up paying for mine. And I don't regret it, but I don't love the idea of paying for feedback, because it's almost always going to be just in your favor by nature a little bit. There's no such thing as a perfect book, but when you're paying someone to give you feedback, the feedback might be not as critical as you might need for your story. It might be what you want. It might be the glowing review and praise and feedback that you would love, but trust me, it's better to feel the sting and get some harsh feedback and fix it before you publish than to just pay for good feedback. And I'm not saying that I paid for good feedback. I got some amazing feedback on certain scenes and things that were not working. But I ended up paying this beta reader something like $6. It was so affordable. And then I ended up tipping her $15, because I was like, there's no way that you just spent all this time reading my book and are only asking for $6. So I ended up tipping her, ended up being like a $22-ish with the fees and the tax and whatever, $22-ish for beta reader feedback, which I don't regret. But I would look at doing free options, because there's so many people that will help you for free and will give you feedback. So that brought me up to about $97 and some spare change, which is under $100. So that is how you could spend under $100 publishing a book. But the real cost was me writing for 15 years of my life, me doing graphic design for about 14 years of it. And with this new AI debate and things that are going on, a lot of accusations that I just throw in a prompt and get my book cover spit out at me. So a little mental trauma, which sucks. But a couple years of classes in high school for writing, querying, storytelling, high school writing classes, and then college. 3.5 years of college, marketing, creative writing, graphic design. The true cost is much higher than $100. If you're not like me and you don't have a huge interest in the editing side of things or the graphic design side of things or the marketing side of things, you might be looking to hire people out. I don't have a ton of firsthand experience in hiring people out or swapping services in order to save money on the bookish things because I do it myself. But that is always an option. So if you want to save money, but you don't want to do it all yourself, ask in writers groups. Ask if there's anyone willing to swap whatever skill set you have for a cover design or swapping stories in order to critique and get feedback instead of hiring a beta reader like I did. You can ask people to give you feedback, but you kind of have to be willing to engage with the community and also give feedback. So there are different ways that you can save money as an author and not end up spending hundreds or thousands of dollars, especially if it's your debut novel. I would highly recommend that you do your debut novel as best as you can, market it, learn from it, take any royalties that you have and invest that back into publishing your next book. I think a lot of us get really caught up on the debut novel, the first book that we publish, and we think it has to hit it big. But the truth is, it's just investing in yourself. You've already put a lot of time and effort into this book, but as storytellers, we all know that there's not just one book. It's not the end-all be-all if that one book does not do amazing. So keep pushing, keep putting yourself out there, engage with the community, maybe learn a new skill. I hope anything in here was either helpful or inspiring, and if it was, please drop a comment. Let me know. I love this YouTube community so much. So I would just love to hear about your author experiences, what you guys do on your own, what you hire out, what you swap services for. Let me know everything. Give me the tea in the comments. All right. I think that was enough of me rambling. I will see you in the next video. Bye.